So the Achilles is torn for sure. And the long road to recovery starts for Jalen now. And Teron's isn't as serious as Isaiah's. It's it's game to game, week to week. Is that something?
Sure.
No, so the motions are that's one of the things that is making our team, I think, uh on each game day, one thing that you can say, you take all the critiquing out of it. We have a very hardworking, straining team that plays for each other, and I think that is a, a consequence of people really sharing each other's journey. So everybody knows what was on Jalen Phillips' mind. He felt like he was ready and able and had put in all the work to make a big step in his game, and he's a big part of the team. But um, the fortunate thing that this team has is they do have a lot of. You don't necessarily replace Jalen Phillips, but you can have guys that are fully capable to um, step up and kind of um, you know uh, get his production through different ways. So we are fortunate to have some depth, and kind of the all. I think our players understand that the only way that we can kind of do right by Jalen Phillips, and it's the lesser of evils, is the worst case scenario is him to be going through his rehab and watching us not fully take advantage of our opportunities. So there's an element of people playing for him, I think, and it's very, we're all very aware of this is something very commonplace in the National Football League in terms of you don't generally go through a season without losing a player or two that is one of your core players. So it's something that is a part of the journey, and it's really unfortunate for Jalen. However, there's no doubt in my mind that he's fully capable, and I know his mindset will be that as weird as it sounds now, you've got to figure out a way that it can be the best thing that ever happened to you, and that's the challenge that we all anytime something kind of really turns your world upside down. It's tough to kind of get there, but eventually you do, and you find different ways to make it something that has helped, that will be a defining moment in a good way. So the challenge is long, but he has all his teammates, all the support. He's and we all know that he'll come back with vengeance when his time comes, but it's got a long journey for sure. Yeah, I think that's the starting point, and then you just let the players shape what that is exactly to a T. But without a shadow of a doubt, there's going to be those two individuals that will have to step up, and that will also open up opportunities. That when Gink is not playing stack backer, that means there's very capable and ready. I think David Long is, will have to step up as well and play a role that he's been thirsting for anyway. So that's why it's kind of like a group of people. You don't necessarily replace it, but it doesn't. It just gives different people opportunities, and you kind of spread that out to do your best to compensate for that production loss.
He's
Well,
not really taking the field.
I will say targets are not the same as playtime percentage. And if we deep dive into playtime percentage, I think there's probably 15 to 20 receivers that play more than he does, which is strategic. We want him to be at his best, but no, uh, I don't think that enters into the equation relative to yeah, he's a football player that wants the ball. And I'm not going to be like, hey man, you might get hit. Yeah, that's kind of But he's both the scenarios were kind of you know unfortunate too. It wasn't he has an incredible history of being able to stay healthy and playing games. I can't remember somebody could Google the stat up real quick, but it's like crazy amount of he's only missed like 2 games or something. I don't even know. So he is a guy that knows how to protect himself on the field. It was a kind of a you guys saw probably on the TV replay how it got rolled up early, which was just unfortunate. But he's at a really good juncture in his career. I think his teammates have expressed it. I think you guys can kind of tell by his energy. He's at another level of professional professionality. I don't know. But he's going to make sure that if there's a will, there's a way. I'm very confident he'll take care of himself. And we have a good working relationship, such a trusting relationship with the players and Kyle, where we're not going to press things too early. But yeah, no, I'm not going to. I know. You know what? Do you represent several different fantasy defensive teams? I
No,
just
I
put
don't.
together.
I,
Okay, and
I
you're
don't.
speaking on behalf of your fantasy defensive teams, and yes, that'd be a great idea. But outside of that, I think he'll always be involved, and we'll just we do manage his playtime percentage though
I
for
think.
that.
I think I'm the one sports writer in America who does not play fantasy, so that did not enter in the equation there.
Do we believe him? Yeah, we it's something we look at throughout the year, and you're kind of keeping abreast. And every time you have any sort of little nick by any player, kind of assessing that. We've had workouts a couple weeks ago, I know, and then as far as uh, anytime you get injured, you assess that whole process and figure out how you're going to best serve your roster through whatever means necessary. So whether it's on our team, which we have a couple players that have opportunities to get a little more exposure that I think they're ready for, but also we'll continue to do that. It's that's ever evolving. Basically, every time someone does go down from that position group, if there wasn't an immediate workout just before, we worked people out just to kind of assess the state of the union. No, it's kind of like a chill. There's I could have done post game, but at that point I'd forgotten. But pregame, that's like we're not making it to the game. You make it to Friday to get to the game. You're at the game. I mean, it would have to be like a remix techno version. Maybe you can come up with it. Some house music, Friday song, then we'd be in business
Right.
for next Black Friday game.
Like,
No, it was to a degree, not, there's always things as coaches that, the point of coaching is to improve players. So there are always stuff to improve upon. And if your locker room is correct, no one's even trying to play the perfect game. They're expecting to play and then get better from it as we progress. But that being said, it was kind of a perfect scenario for the parallel between what I was hoping the team was and what they showed me they were. Short week is physically demanding. Okay. There's a lot of different distractions with regard to holiday season and having a nationally televised game. We go to New York, and you want to make sure that guys are worried about nothing but themselves and how we play as a team. And there's only one way that you can beat that football team, is what you're saying, is you have to match and or exceed their physicality. And I thought that was on a short week that is very, very encouraging for us to see. And I also saw, uh, you know, continued. You can feel in the momentum of the game. I think there's something you can't totally quantify it, but there's an element on every really good team I've been on where people play as a team. The different phases do. So I keep talking about that, and every time it shows up, I can just viscerally I can feel it. Yesterday, where somebody would make a play on the other phase off of a play made, or when someone was down, someone countered and swung the momentum back. So the greatest example we could ever have is the unbelievable play by Javon, and not only the play that Javon made, but the pass rush that had to move the quarterback in the pocket, which got the receivers down the field further, which made them as tacklers worse, and then the effort with the plays made by the defensive, like Christian Wilkins and Bradley Chubb blocking at the point of attack. It was like everybody recognized that this was a moment for our on the defensive side of the ball with no time left to rectify a couple things that happened offensively. Those type of things are monumental, and that's what I saw: physicality on all three phases, and then continued team development, which is the most important thing in my opinion. There's some definite lessons. I think it's a different application considering Jalen Ramsey was at the beginning of the season working to the middle. However, that what Jalen Ramsey did, you're exactly right. That will forever live in my memory bank. I guarantee it has residuals. And I think there's probably in that regard. Now it's a different exercise to be on the back end of the season. And the biggest thing will be about what maximizes Jalen Philly's ability to recover in his best self. I'm sure there's going to be, for him, he's really going to want to be around the guys, just knowing him. But there's also you want to build perspective, but you don't want to make yourself completely miserable, because it is tough to just sit there and have that taken away from you. So there's a balancing act that, it's probably early in the process for us to kind of say exactly what that looks like. But I know every player on this team going through injury, especially ones that have extended time frame, have been absolutely impacted by what Jalen did, and the blueprint in that regard is real. I mean, yeah, like whatever I say is going to be bold print. I don't like injuries. I would encourage to follow the science, whatever that is, because I'm not reading books on it, and I'm not studying it. That's not my role. I think everybody's incentivized for the safest situation possible, and I for me, if I did know with factual evidence through study that that any sort of injury was 100% was avoidable on a different playing surface, that would make me lose my mind. I would flip over tables, and but like I don't have that. But if that's there, it's super important, because our game is a vessel of the best players performing. So if we're not doing everything we can to ensure that they have the ability to play, then we're being counterproductive, and should just take a lesson from mice and run on a mouse wheel, or hamster. Yeah. Just run hamster laps. That'd be so. I don't know. I just hope everyone does their due diligence, and you kind of in my profession where I said I have to believe that's being done and have been done and going to be done. But it would be ignorant of me, meaning lack of knowledge, if I just said, "Yep, it was the surface." I don't know that. I hope it wasn't, for sure. Yeah, hopefully they're on the McAfee show this week talking Achilles. Uh, uh, I do know there was some information distributed through. It was like in the periphery because there's a lot of stuff going on. But I know, I've heard. I don't know him personally, but I've heard great things about Aaron Rodgers and the type of human being he is. And I think he was working some channels to get in touch with Jalen as of last night through a couple of people that have some relationships with him. And I think he he's a smart guy that's not afraid to chase the most exotic science. And I think that's kind of something that specifically Jalen Phillips. He's not one of those old school, I've always done it this way type of guys. He would be open to whatever. So that's yeah, I think player relationships, it's important for the actual tangible rehabilitation, but it's also important to talk to guys that have been through similar situations from a just you're a performance athlete that needs to maintain their mental stability and really health with regard to being a professional athlete that can't be an athlete at the time. So I think all of those things are very important. I know as of last night, there was some things developing, but I don't really know those tangibly yet. So yeah. Well, I don't think it's. I don't think it's a correlation. I think it's not happenstance that's the first guy that's been kicked off or been ejected since I've been head coach. That's something that from the first day that I start, I explicitly articulate that's not that stuff between whistles or stuff outside the whistles is just a very it's a waste that ultimately, even in the moment, if you don't realize this, in hindsight, you'll always recognize that it's kind of a selfish move in regard to you hurt the team and you hurt yourself. So the one great thing about Austin Jackson, he's given me so much reason to trust and believe in his. He shows me every day how coachable he is. I know he was, you know, very much in the tank about doing anything negative to the team. He's really committed his entire life to do the opposite. So I'm very confident that won't happen again. But it's something that you can't, it can no people have to realize in the front end that their actions have consequences. And if you are getting 15-yard penalties or getting ejected, those consequences can be quite severe with regard to the team. I was I was sure you're going to go Al Michaels on me. What was Liam? Yeah, he continues to just I really like coaching the guy because he just gets better at stuff within the system once he understands it. And right now, we're at a cool spot where that learning curve is super fast. So when he goes from center to right guard, he's getting better with every rep. And I think he played like how we'd expect him to play, like a starting NFL right guard that is an asset and that can make plays. He made a couple plays in the run game that were humongous in terms of the outcome of the game. Couple of the runs that resulted in points had something directly to do with what he was doing on the line of scrimmage, and I thought he protected the quarterback well. So it was a encouraging step. I wouldn't say I was surprised, but you're always pumped when your expectations matched by actual production.